Welcome back to the Full Time Ultras. It is our team of the season. It's a special episode. The Premier League is done, and we are here to get to see which players make our cut in the final team of the season. We've got the old gang back to discuss their teams. I hope you guys have done your research as to who fits into your team of the season. Aditya, after a long time, how are you?
I'm fine, yeah. Not bad.
Enjoying the little bit of international friendlies going on and excited for the Euros.
Excited for the Euros a little bit. For
Not
once.
a good performance from Germany.
Germany 0-0.
Yeah, Ukraine, it's all right. I mean, there is hope. It's not as doom and gloom as it would have been. Maybe like last year it was horrible when Nagelsmann came in, lost to Turkey, lost to Austria. So now it's at least a bit better. So there is some hope. It's not absolutely devoid of all hope, but let's see.
What about you, Raghav?
England won 3-0. So, and it was a good performance
With
as
the
well,
fringe
so, yeah.
players as well.
Yeah. So it
Any
was good.
particular performers who stood out to you?
Eze? He was really
Eze
good.
as well.
Yeah, he really stood out. So yeah,
He's made a big case for him to make that
the
that
final
23.
squad. Yeah,
because
that's
his form towards the end of the Premier League also was really good. One
yeah.
of the most standout
of course.
players whenever he plays. And we were discussing yesterday, the ability of him to glide past players
Oh my god.
is just effortless. Good goal from Trent as well. Maybe he could be playing in that midfield. Southgate was pretty impressed. But yeah, we will be discussing the Euros in the future episodes. So stick with us. Do the usual, like our videos, and turn the notification bell on so that you guys know when our videos drop. But with that, let's straight away get started with our building our team of the season. And the way how we'll build the team is we'll start with the goalkeepers and the defense. So we'll go around the panel and we'll see what these guys have. And then slowly we'll then go on to the midfield, and then we'll go on to the attack. And then in the end, it's up to you to tell us who has the best team, and get your interactions in the comment section below and let us know that who has built the perfect team. But with that, I think we'll start with Raghav in this one. Who is your goalkeeper, and name your defense along with that as well.
Yeah, so I've gone for a 4-2-3-1 formation for my team, for my team of the season. And my first choice itself is gonna raise a lot of eyebrows because I
know where you're going.
I have gone with Andre Onana in goal because however shaky his start might have been, he has redeemed himself quite a lot this season, and he's within the top 3 save percentages in the Premier League goalkeepers. He has a 72% goal save ratio, save percentage, and he's made 149 saves in this Premier League season. And he's kept 9 clean sheets, which is more than Alisson Becker and Vicario. So I don't see them getting any stick just because that United have performed so badly. But even in this bad team, he has saved us many games. It's not that the big profile errors were there in the start of the season, be it the Champions League, be it the Premier League.
He was horrible in the
He was
Champions
horrible.
League.
Yeah, he was horrible in the Champions League. Agreed. But as the season has progressed, that can be demoralizing for any goalkeeper. But it's not been like that. He showed a strong mentality, and he's come back, and he's done really well for us.
There's also a stat where I think it's an expected goal stat, and I think United should have conceded 17 goals more, depending on how our season has been, and those 17 goals have not been considered obviously because Onana's save percentage has been so good. I don't think I'll fault you that much. I think he's been okay he's been quite steady in the Premier League.
And considering our defensive situation and the amount of shots we face, I think he's done really well this season for us. And so considering December onwards, second half of the season, he's played really well for us.
You have anything to say?
I do disagree with that because he has this tendency to concede really silly goals, especially first post. And I often find issue with his positioning because I think there was a case, the Bournemouth game, for example. That is one example of many. But he's standing right behind Maguire, who's covering the far post, and Solanke goes near post. It's those basic goalkeeping errors that you'd expect. So Alisson, he's very good positionally. He'll be in the right position at the right time. He does not make a spectacular save because he doesn't need to make a spectacular save, and that's where I think Alisson is kind of those keepers is better than Onana. But fair enough. He's made some really good saves and really important saves as well. So
just that the 9 clean sheets that he's kept considering a defensive situation was one of the.
Yeah,
and
fair
he has one of the best save percentages in the league. Like so, yeah.
Yeah, but that
it.
just improves as like if your defense is bad, the save percentage is high. So
So with that further, let's look at your back four.
My back four at right back, I've gone with Pedro Porro because he's been really good for Tottenham this season. Like at the start of the season when Ange used to play, like when we said Ange ball, Pedro Porro and both the fullbacks are really crucial to the way Tottenham play.
Yeah.
Like they invert and they're bombing forward at will, and the midfield was used to give them that license to go forward and just play your football. And I think he excels in that role. He's a really good attacking right back. He's got 3 goals and 7 assists in this season, and he's overperformed his XA, the expected assist that he's overperformed it. So I think he's a really solid right back, and I'm excited to see him for Spain as well.
Your centre backs?
So at centre back, I've gone for Gabriel and Mickey van de Ven. So he's Gabriel, like solid defender, aerial threat, and he's been really solid for Arsenal. Alongside, he's had a really good partnership with William Saliba, and I don't think there should be any opposition regarding that selection. And Mickey van de Ven, like what a speedster! Like for his height, for his structure, right, how he is. Like okay, he's prone to injury. Like he got injured. He got a really good. He had a really bad hamstring injury. But when he has played, he is rapid, and it's not that he's having to sprint forward. He's able to cover ground so well, and even his positioning sense is good, and he's able to chip in with the odd goal, which is really crucial for a centre back. Like you want that aerial threat. You want your centre backs to be there when the set pieces are going on. And left back, actually, it's such a. I haven't been able to pick a left back. It's really tough, and that's why I've just gone for Nathan Ake in that position, because City champions, and Nathan Ake has just played in that left back role. Albeit they play a back three, but on paper that Ake is the left back. He is a solid player, and Josko Guardiola might have ended the season
really well,
but really sorry. For the majority of the season, Ake has been at that left back role, and he's done really well.
So you got your defense sorted.
Yeah.
And for me, I just feel that left back situation was so tricky because we haven't had a standout.
There hasn't been a
left
stand-up
back
performer at left back this season.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, because even for Arsenal, they've struggled with that role.
Yeah.
The top teams, every team has struggled with that role. Chelsea has struggled. United have struggled with it. So picking a left back has been a really, really tricky thing. But I'm really surprised with 2 of your picks, is Van der Ven and Porro, because 2 Spurs defenders in that, I don't think they've had defensively they've been that good this season. So
no, but just the individual performances that they've had, Porro has been a revelation. He has played really
attacking
well.
output has been good.
Attacking wise, he's really good. And Mickey van de Ven, I just love the guy. Like his for a guy who is 6 feet 5, 6 feet 7. How tall is he?
I think
6'4", I think. Yeah.
Not 6'7". Come on.
Are you crazy?
No, sorry, 6'4".
Yeah, it's around
6'4", 6'5". Yeah. For that height, the speed that he has, the way he covers ground is, it's terrifying. So
he's quite quick.
There's this one clip doing rounds on Twitter right now where I think it was for, who did he sign from? One of these. He signed from Wolfsburg, right?
I think so, yeah.
So this one of these clips where the keeper is on top and he completely outsprints everyone, and the attacker is running through on an open goal because the keeper is on top, and this guy covers the entire ground. He beats the keeper. He even sprints past the keeper. He straight away goes on goal and he blocks the shot, and then the keeper saves the follow up. It's an amazing clip that shows how fast he is.
Yeah.
But we'll quickly move on to you, Aditya. Let's get your goalkeeper.
No thoughts from you, like my defense, like.
We'll discuss it towards the end.
Towards the end. Yeah, sorry.
But let's get your team first.
So I haven't brought all the numbers that you have, but formation similar, 4-2-3-1/4-3-3, and my keeper is I mean, you've got Raya and Pickford who are really, good. Raya Golden Glove, Pickford second. But I've gone with Emi Martinez purely because of his presence and what he means to that Villa side. You can measure a keeper by a lot more than just clean sheets, because I feel clean sheets are a defensive kind of stat, not just a goalkeeper. But you immediately notice when Martinez is not playing behind that defense, because he's very good at sweeping up. I do have one stat, which is he's got the most keeper sweepings in the Premier League this season.
Villa played such a high line.
Exactly,
this season as well.
and you've got to factor in how a team plays. The importance of a player to any team is truly measured by how a team plays when he's not there.
Yeah.
And Villa without Martinez are an entirely different prospect, because his presence, his command, he's so confident. I mean, very, very outspoken and proper shithouse, basically. But you need that kind of confidence and presence behind you, because you very rarely do you see keepers strike fear into like a striker's heart. Usually it's the other way around. And this guy does seem like he gets into the minds of a lot of attackers.
Yes.
And he comes out on top in a lot of scenarios. There have been very good keeping performances this year, but I think my keeper would be Emi Martinez. Moving on to the back four, I've gone all centre backs. It's right back Ben White. He's
actually not a centre back anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's a right back.
He's
transitioned into a right back.
He's played quite well at right back. He's been bombing forward. He's been clipping those balls in. He's got a few goals this season as well. Really solid contributor at right back. Again, you have these honourable mentions, Porro, Trent, and even Walker. But I feel Ben White's...
Trent, defense?
You got Porro in your team.
I think Dalot has had a better season than Trent.
Dalot, yeah, I'd go... Dalot was my consideration for left back, actually. But
actually...
I've gone Ben White right back purely because of how important he's been in contributing to Arsenal's attack down that flank, and it's enabled Saka to move inside as well. Centre backs, I've gone for Saliba and Van Dijk, because Saliba, I don't think I need to speak much about him. He's been phenomenal, part of the best defensive pairing in the league, along with Gabriel. And Van Dijk, I think, has had his best season since his injury. He's been very commanding. He's taken over the armband. He's a leader. He can spray those passes as well. And you've seen Van Dijk maybe as good, if not better, as he was before he went out injured.
Yes.
Which is why I felt like I should include him. And then left back, it's, as you said, it's just a chaotic kind of situation. No one's really performed. I thought about Anthony Robinson from Fulham.
Exactly, same.
He was one person I considered, and the other one was Diogo Dalot. But it's not been consistent or stand out. So I've just gone with an out of left field pick. I've gone with Jared Brantwaite from Everton, who is a centre back, but he's a left-sided centre back.
He's not a bad shot.
21 years old. He's tall and he is rapid as well.
Hopefully we get him.
Yeah, his season's been really, really good. Him and Tarkowski, that pairing in the heart of Everton's defense, has really helped them frustrate a lot of teams. And given the situation Everton were in, they've been deducted so many points and they've still stayed safe. So that just shows how much of an impact those two have had, and like how good they have been. And their position on the table does not really reflect where they are. And those two have been their most important players, I feel, along with Pickford. And it's reflected in how he's been selected into the England professional squad, and that he's being linked to like bigger clubs. Yeah. No offense to Everton. So yeah, I've gone with a centre back at left back as is vogue right now. But yeah, that's my back four and keeper.
You had anything to say about his 11?
About his 11?
Yeah, about his defense.
No. I think it's pretty solid that even I was in consideration for putting Brathwaite at centre back. You're talking about, I never had any doubts of having Gabriel because he's had a really good season, but I had a conflict between Van de Ven and Branthwaite, but I just felt that Van de Ven, like, he just edged it for me because of just how well he's done for a first season, coming from Wolfsburg
Yeah.
and coming from Bundesliga, where players have come in the past and have not done really well. Havertz, Sancho, for example, like even Werner, like these players have come in, but they've not done really well. But Van de Ven has really come in and he's done well for Ange in that Spurs lineup. So that's why.
I think Branthwaite is such a good out of the field pick because he is so versatile as well. He can play in
Exactly.
different places. So, if you want to like switch, if you want him to come centrally, if you want Ben White to push further forward,
Yeah.
make that a fluid back
that was my
three,
thinking.
you can also kind of do that. So, yeah, it is. You won't get much overlap. You won't get the overlapping ability that much
Yeah.
compared to in that sense. But I'm a big fan of Branthwaite as a player. I think he is the next big thing. I feel technically at this point of time, at the age at which he is currently, I think he is a better footballer than what John Stones was at that time.
Yeah.
So under the right guidance, I feel Branthwaite could be anything that he wants to.
Yes.
So hopefully United are the team that have put in the most groundwork, but the biggest thing now is to get Everton to reduce their fee, because hopefully PSR works in our favor, because Everton have to sell, and Branthwaite is just one of those gold mines they have, which I think they sellable asset, which I think they will need to get off. So hopefully it falls in our favor.
Yeah.
But I'll go with my team now. We'll move forward with my team. So yeah, a lot of picks, like it's really confusing in some areas. But for me, my goalkeeper, it was just between two, but I've narrowed down my option, and I'll go with Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
I have been one of his biggest criticizers in a way. I didn't feel that he should start for England. I never felt he should have been England's starting goalkeeper. Sorry. But this season, he's really proved me wrong. I think he commanded that defense fantastically well. Save percentage is very high. His claims, his distribution has been really good. To keep 9 clean sheets, I think Everton have kept this season. I think they've kept 9, if I'm not sure. They are second behind Arsenal, right?
No,
so
they've kept around, I think, 12 or something.
They've kept 12, even better then. So, yeah, overall, he's been really good in marshalling his defense. So, and also some key saves, some brilliant saves he's made this season. So, I think he's been one of the standout keepers, and that's why he makes my team. For right back, I have gone with Ben White. I think he's been sublime this season, and even his attacking output has been so good. Joining into attacks, creating goals. He's also started scoring goals now, getting into midfield. And he is a player who I think has the best of both worlds. So he can overlap as well, and plus his on the ball, he can even invert. So I think he is the perfect example of a modern fullback, and he's been that vital cog as to why Arsenal have been brilliant this season, especially in defense. My centre backs, no surprise, I've gone with William Saliba and I've gone with Gabriel.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that three of Arsenal have been brilliant. Defensively, Arsenal have been untouchable this season. Teams have found it so difficult to break them down. Manchester City in both the league games were not able to score a single goal against them, and that showed how brilliant they have been. And even as a goalkeeper, you can name the entire Arsenal backline put them in the team of the season, because I think as a unit, as a defensive unit, they've been so cohesive in how they've played, and they've supported each other that much. So for me, it has to be Gabriel and Saliba. And also, not only defensive abilities, they've also been so dangerous in the opposition box.
Yeah.
Both have found their ability in terms of scoring goals, headers, attacking set pieces. So I think it's a no-brainer for me as to it has to be those two. I think no other centre-back this season for me has stood out that much in comparison to how these two have stood out. And for left-back, it is really, really tricky, but this is the only position where I'll go a little bit more with my heart. And I will go with Diogo Dalot. I think he's been a standout player this season for Manchester United. He's been the best player for United this season in terms of how he's transformed, how he's developed into a better player. And that loan at AC Milan has helped him so much in terms of playing on the left side. Whenever we never had a left back this entire season, and whenever he was deployed over there, he's been really he's done really well over there, and his ability also to get into midfield, and he also has the ability to make the outer run, you know, and his left foot is really good as well. So some good goals he's also had this season. So yeah, I think Diego Dallo will round up my back four. So I think it's a pretty solid unit.
Yeah, you can't really argue with much there. And like that Arsenal back three, as you said, they're in one way or the other, you have to have at least two of those three
easily.
There's no doubt about it.
Because even I was so like confused between, like, Raya's had such a good season. Yeah, he's not had much to do.
Yeah.
But whenever he was called upon, he's made some really good saves. And that also for a keeper is something which is so important, because normally when you ask keepers, you know, when they are in the thick of the game, it's easier for them. But when they are not doing something, and then when they have to make that one save, that many keepers tend to say that is more difficult.
Yeah.
You know? So David Raya showed this season as to why he's cemented himself as one of the best keepers, and it just proves that Arteta getting him, and also his ability to play out from the back. He's made some errors, but that will tend to happen with any ball playing keeper. You know, they are going to make that odd mistake, and everyone has made it this season, right from Ederson to Alisson. Everyone makes mistakes, bad mistakes. So I think, but I will go with Pickford, considering what Everton were battling this season, and he's really stood out, and he's been one of those players that has marshaled his defensive line. So
I'm just really surprised that none of us has Raya in their lineup. Like I wasn't, I was it was always between Pickford and Onana for me.
Yeah,
but I'm really surprised, particularly with him, because I always thought that he would go with Raya, but I don't know. Like, he's gone with.
I wanted to put really Raya, but then it would have been too Arsenal. Like, so I just wanted, and then plus Pickford is actually, like, stat to stat is pretty close. And then we all have to remember that Pickford is playing for an Everton team. And
for the record, he's kept 13 clean sheets.
That's amazing. So even better. Like, so yeah, I think he's had a fantastic season. That Everton backline has been really, really solid. But yeah, we've all got our defenses sorted. Anything else to add? You want to counter his?
Oh yeah, the Raya
choices?
thing. No, I don't want to counter. I'll just explain my. I think Raya's been quite. That's why he's in my honorable mentions. He's been exceptional, as has Pickford. So I wouldn't fault either pick, but I just think that Arsenal do kind of have like a somewhat decentish replacement in Ramsdale, and that's somewhat worked into my thinking as well. Because when Villa lose Martinez, they're done. Like they're a different team. They can't play the same way, and that's the only reason I've really gone with Martinez, because of the impact he has.
So yeah, that's our defenses. With that, we'll now move on to our midfield. Midfield pivot, I would say. So we'll start with you on that one, Aditya. Who have you got in your midfield? So you said you're going 4-3-3.
Yeah, it's a bit fluid. But the deepest of the three would obviously be, no surprises, it's going to be Rodri.
Okay.
I said earlier, you can measure the impact of a player by what happens when he's not playing. City did not lose a game in the Premier League
exactly
when he was playing. And when he wasn't playing, they lost all the games that they lost when he wasn't playing.
Except the final game.
That's why I mentioned.
I wanted to say that.
That's why I said Premier League. I knew you'd jump on that. That's why I said Premier League.
Yeah.
But you can't deny he is the modern, that Spanish pivot. You had Busquets earlier, and he's really stepped up into that role for a Pep team. Obviously, he's really good at keeping the ball, recycling possession. He comes up with really crucial goals as well these days, which is, he's just added to his game. And yeah, I don't think, again, I've gone with a very safe team. I don't think I need to make much of a case here, because he's been exceptional, and he's been a big, big part of their title win. So that's my pivot. Then alongside him, and slightly in advance, you have the other guy in that position. It has to be Declan Rice, because he's one of the signings of the season, if not the signing of the season. The way he's pretty much seamlessly fit
Yeah.
into that Arsenal side and into that system. Where initially he was asked to do a lot of the same things that Rodri does for City, and he was not doing those things at West Ham. So it is a big ask of him, but he managed to do it. And then as the season progressed, Arteta started using him as a more box-to-box type player. He
Yes.
started playing Jorginho alongside, Partey alongside, and the impact Rice has had on Arsenal. We talk about Arsenal's run. You obviously Ben White's been crucial. You've got another player who's crucial who will come up, but Rice has been a big part of also solidifying that defense and being that link, because he can do pretty much everything now. He can pass,
Yeah.
he can carry, he scores important goals, and he can break up play as well. And the most advanced of the three, it's Martin Odegaard, because
Okay.
Whoa.
the he's really caught my eye this season. He's been very creative. He's again also the captain of that team, and
Yes.
my God, is he a good leader. I did not expect that from him. He's been responsible for, keeping a very young side in check,
Yes.
and he's done that so well this season. They pushed City all the way. So kudos to him from that perspective. And on the ball, he's just a creative genius. I'm pretty sure one of you all will have Bruno in there, but
What in the team?
in your team of the season,
No.
maybe not. Okay,
No.
but I feel like Odegaard this season in terms of output, creativity, he's been probably the best in terms of what he's had to bring. He's probably been their chief creative output in that midfield, and he's delivered pretty much every game. And there was an instance on the spot, the Villa game, where you were talking about when you've got Villa at 0-0, you don't risk that game. You keep your best player on the pitch.
Exactly.
That's like one of my main points. He's their best player in that midfield role. He's the one who can unlock those defenses. So crucial to that team. So I can't not put him in there.
Okay. So I don't think I can. I think Odegaard for me was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
Because I'm not, doubting the quality of him. Like it's so, it's so so many options to pick from. But yeah, I kind of agree that Odegaard has been so crucial to how Arsenal have played. Maybe he does not have that many of the goals or the assists to show for, but his pre-assists, the moves he starts, the ability to switch play, to keep the ball, his ball retention is so good, and I think he's one of the top 3 10s definitely in the Premier League for me. So I don't think I have to argue. I'll go with my choices because I think 2 of them are same.
Yeah.
So in my midfield also I'll go with Rodri and I'll go with Declan Rice because it's mirroring your points, because Manchester City without Rodri is completely different. They are a team that are so easy to get against, because I was shocked the way they played at Villa Park, where Villa completely dominated them, and then you never see an instance where an opposition team has more possession than Manchester City. That was shocking. Attempts as well. Like City had one shot or something in that game, and I was like, so exactly. So Rodri is so crucial in that midfield to get the ball from the defense to the attack. So I think he is perhaps the best holding midfielder in the world right now. I don't think there's any player who is depending how you use Declan Rice, but I feel Declan Rice is more of an 8. You don't expect Rodri to cover box to box and make those runs and score a goal. So I feel Rodri is a more defensive player. But for me, Declan Rice, I have not been shocked with Rice, with people looking at his attacking output and being, Declan Rice is so attacking. For me, he's always had that, because United were scouting him at one point as well, but we didn't go for him. But then when I would do a little bit research, when I would read up on him, there is this stage between, if once the transfer is finalizing, you go on and you research about these players and you hear more, you read articles. And people in the West Ham setup, and you must be knowing more as well, they've always said that Declan Rice always had the tools of attacking. He has the ability of scoring goals. He's technically very, very good on the ball. So I'm not surprised that he's being used as a more attacking player, more as an 8. Because when Arsenal signed him, a lot of people would were thinking that he's going to be that sitter.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to be that. In fact, I feel next season he's going to play even more attacking.
Yes.
I think Arsenal are going to sign another holding player. I feel somewhere, because I think Partey is leaving. So I wouldn't even be surprised that he is pushed further more forward, and then he had more output in terms of scoring. But I think all in all, fantastic performance from him. Signing of the season, big shout for player of the season as well. But yeah, those two, for me, it's the same as you. For me, that third player would be Cole Palmer. I would play Cole Palmer as that 10.
Yeah.
Because I feel that I would have enough security in those two players to hold the fort for my defense. And I think Cole Palmer was so good when he switched, when Enzo dropped off, when he started playing more centrally. I think Chelsea completely changed in that stage. You had Madueke playing on the right. Cole Palmer started off on the right, but I think his impact playing centrally was more. I think that kind of got Chelsea better in transition. His goal output increased from non-penalty goals as well. I think that increased. So I feel Cole Palmer's best position is centrally. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would not want him to cut in from the right, because he's so good on the ball. The ball sticks to his feet. The ability to cut defenses. These through balls are also so good. And I think him centrally is what I like. So for me, he is that 10 for me. And that is my midfield 3. So I'd go with Rodri, Rice, and Cole Palmer. Let's go with you, Raghav. What have you?
Man, that's I'm just gonna tell my double pivot because it's a 4-2-3-1.
Left field.
And I'm going to tell a front 4 of mine. So when we discuss the attack, I'm going to tell you a front 4.
Midfield as a part of the
okay. So I've put it as a front 4.
Yeah.
So my double pivot is going to be, of course, like there's no doubt that Declan Rice has to be there. He's probably been like Arsenal have. I've always said that he's the missing jigsaw in that puzzle. Like they wanted that kind of a player, and it's not easy coming in with 100 plus million price tag, but he has done it so seamlessly. He's just fit right in, and he's just performed since day one, and he's been consistent throughout the season. Got popped up with crucial goals, and like there's nothing much to argue. You both have said whatever case is to be made for Declan Rice. But the other player is I've not gone for Rodri. It's not the general pivot that I've gone for Douglas Luiz.
That's actually a good
It's
shout.
a really good shot.
Not a bad shout. Yeah.
Like that Villa side has overachieved massively this season, and he's been a part of that squad, and he's also a shit house. Like you can't discount him because the celebration that he did against United, like that's what he does, and he's got 12 yellow cards to show for that in this season.
Yeah.
But he's also won 65% of his tackles this season. He's won 148 duels this season, which is more than 60%. And so these stats don't lie, and he can
his
for me,
goal output has been tremendous.
And I was coming to that. He scored 9 goals and he's provided 5 assists for Villa this season in the Premier League. So
former deeper. At the start he was playing more attacking.
Yeah, but he dropped off.
But still he was scoring goals.
Yeah, he was scoring goals, and he's also their penalty taker.
Yeah.
Like Douglas Luiz shares the penalty duties. So like alongside John McGinn, like in that midfield, like he's performed really well this season.
Good season. Yes.
So that's my double pivot, like Declan Rice and Douglas Luiz.
I wouldn't argue.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good.
Yeah, it's a really good alternative
I think it's
shot,
a better pick than Megan and Poro, but
Van de Ven and Poro.
Sorry, Van de Ven and Poro. Yeah. Much
sure.
much better.
That's
than
a very good outfield
pick. Yeah, because I cannot argue. He's had a really good season, and I could see Villa also have their PSR troubles.
Yeah.
And then there are rumors that they might look to shift him out this season. So I don't. There will be a lot of suitors who would want Douglas Luiz, but. With that, we'll move on to the attack, and now I think it's my turn to go with the attack.
Brother.
Yeah.
So on the right, I'm gonna go with Bukayo Saka. I think.
Oh my God.
Yes, I think he's had a fantastic season. Little bit under the radar because a lot of Arsenal attackers have contributed this season, but another season where he's had He's gone double figures into goals and assists, and he's been ever dependable. His output has been good, and with Arsenal, kind of struggling. They did not have a number 9, so Arsenal was struggling this season a lot for goals. Like Kai Havertz obviously
Yeah.
did start contributing towards the end, but Saka has always been one of those dependable players when it comes to goals, and he's always been a feature in my FPL team as well. And I think
Yeah.
he's not disappointed in terms of goals and assists. So he has to be there. Attacking wise, Arsenal have scored a lot of goals this season. There was that stretch where they kept on scoring, and Saka was so good in that stretch in terms of getting goals. Obviously, in the end, he phased off because he's been one of those players who's been fouled so much as well. The limping is a little bit. We can discuss about that, but I think a lot of players get into him, and
Yeah.
you've seen that with Hazard as well.
Yeah.
These players get kicked a lot, but
Yes.
I think his influence, he keeps getting better with as every season goes, and I think he's a really world class. He has the potential to be a world class player. So I would play him on the right. I've already announced that
Cole
Palmer
Palmer.
is playing
Number 10.
as a number 10. On the left, I would use Phil Foden.
Yeah.
I think because Phil Foden has arguably been City's player of the season. I don't know, like, I just don't have words because you keep thinking that this is his ceiling, but then he keeps getting better and better and better, and it's so scary as an opposition fan that he's still so young and he still has the ability to, he's still in second gear for me,
Yeah.
as time goes by. He's going to keep getting better and better, and I think he has all the qualities to be one of the best players in the world
Yeah.
for me. Sure starter in that England setup as well. So his contribution this season with Haaland being in and out, he's been so good. And with Foden, you can place him literally anywhere in your front line and he'll do that job. So I would put him more like towards the left, but I can see Palmer and Foden kind of
Yeah.
interchanging, and even Saka coming centrally.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very fluid 3 for me. So Foden and Saka will join them, and up front, I think there's only one player who I can pick. It's Erling Haaland. It's not Haaland, sorry. It's Ollie Watkins. What a season Watkins has had.
Amazing.
It's even more shocking that he's got the amount of goals that he's got without penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
No
penalties
penalties,
taken because he's so bad at them. He's so bad at penalties. He's just think like if Douglas Luiz has scored 4 or 5 penalties
Yeah.
this season. Think if Watkins was good at that, he would have been winning the golden.
25.
He would have been close to the
Yeah.
golden boot. So
Yeah.
really, what a season he's had. He cemented himself as one of the best strikers in the Premier League. Perhaps the best striker if he's in. For me, he's the best striker in the Premier League. Of course, Haaland does get those numbers because Haaland is playing in one of the best creative teams that has perhaps ever set foot in the Premier League.
Yep.
And even Haaland has missed so many chances this season. He's really not been up there,
Yeah.
considering how much City have created this season. But for me, Watkins has been fantastic. The composure, especially one goal that stands out for me was at the Emirates. The ability, then
Yeah.
the composure to chip Raya at that situation just shows the quality that he has. And he's another player who has to go for the Euros. And if for some reason Kane is not functioning, Watkins has to come in and contribute. So for me, I will round up with by adding Saka, Palmer, and Watkins.
Foden, you mean?
Sorry, Saka,
Foden. and
Palmer, Foden,
Foden.
and then
Okay.
Watkins. Yes.
So yeah, like as I said, I'm gonna announce my front 4. So it's a bit of an interchange for me because of the right, I'm gonna put Phil Foden
Okay.
because you put him off the left. I'm gonna put him off the right because
Fair.
like there is nothing to say. 27 goals plus assists this season.
Yes.
Like goals plus assists 27. Like
Stand out.
When Haaland was missing, when De Bruyne was missing, you could look up to Phil Foden and he delivered more often than not. Like his consistency has been through the
Fitness
roof
as
this
well.
season.
Whole
Fitness,
season fit.
availability, that's an issue for many attackers. Some where many players that they have the ceiling. Let's take Martial for example, high talent, but no availability.
Exactly.
That there's no use for any players like that.
Hmm.
Like I see a smile there, but that
Yeah.
is the truth.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
no.
it
it's
is.
He had a
fine.
high ceiling, but
Availability
injuries have
is the
been.
best ability.
Yeah,
as you
exactly.
say.
So like I've gone for Phil Foden there, and in number 10 I've gone like again of obvious choice Cole Palmer.
Mm.
Amazing, like he has surpassed all expectations. Nobody expected him to
Cole Palmer FC.
like exactly. You can't argue against it. Like he was probably challenging Haaland for the Golden Boot.
At one
Nobody
point, yes.
at one point, but just Haaland came in clutch at the end of the season and just scored like came in and banged in 6 goals to take it away from him.
Fraud goals.
Yeah, so
Stat padding.
worth 115 charges.
Stat padding goals.
Yeah, so like that's what you can't argue against that as well. But for me, that only one thing that ticks me is that the number of penalty goals are way too much. Like when Bruno Fernandes does it, it's Bruno Fernandes, but it's Cole Palmer FC when Palmer is doing it.
Yeah.
So nothing against Palmer, like he's been phenomenal this season.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, that's like he's basically carried this Chelsea side to a 6th place side.
Bargains of the
Sixth place,
season. One
yeah,
of the bargains of the season.
50
Yes.
million, like it's really good. Off the left, I was really conflicted between two players, and I have gone for Ebery Eze, and because he's scored 11 goals and he's provided 4 assists this season, and in that Palace side,
Mm.
and they've really come since Oliver Glasner's come in. They've really come into their own, and he's formed a really good like that front three that they've really performed with Olise, Mateta, and Eze.
Mm.
And he's made it to the England squad as well based on his performances. And yeah, I really like that. I really like him as a winger, and like yeah, and up front, I've like nobody. I don't. I would be surprised if anyone goes for Haaland. One team is left, but I've gone for Alexander Isak.
Okay,
Newcastle.
that's a fair shout.
Yeah.
Good shot.
So
fair
because he's a really overall striker that you look for a number 9. He's got pace. He has the finishing ability. He's got the aerial threat as well. He is a physical presence, and he also has the ability to play out wide as well. Some like when Eddie Howe wants to change up things a
When
little.
Wilson
When he wants
and
to
yes.
Wilson comes in, Isak can drift out on the left. He has that ability as well. He's a bit versatile, and he scored 21 goals this season. Like, and like he's the first since Alan Shearer to score 20 or something
I think
in
so,
the Premier
yes.
League.
I think
For
so.
Newcastle.
Yes.
He's the first since Shearer for Newcastle to score 20 goals, and he's the 5th player overall for Newcastle to score 20 plus goals in the Premier League.
Good
So
season.
amazing season this season.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what I go for the. That's my attack.
You've got with all left field choices. Seriously, I didn't expect Eze because I think Eze for me, why I wouldn't have Eze in my team is I wouldn't argue with his quality, but he's not been fit. Like
Yeah,
because when we say team of the season, we are looking
Yeah.
at players who have been consistent for the
Yeah.
whole season, and Eze in patches has done really whenever he's played. Obviously, he's done
He's
well.
done really well.
But yeah, that's my reason why I have not added any of those Crystal Palace
Yeah.
players, because even Olise, I think they've been so inconsistent in terms of their injuries. So that's why I couldn't see. But yeah,
and even performances, because like Palace were so bad
before at
like
Hodgson,
under Hodgson. So that's why even I wouldn't go for any of those, any of the Palace front three, because as good as they've been under Glasner,
They've really but they have really come into their own.
yeah,
under
they have.
Glasner,
But like
the
boost
boost
really
they
well.
got from where they were from
Yeah, of
Glasner
course.
coming to where
of
they
course.
went
They
was
finished.
that finished.
Yeah, but like as he said, team of the season.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the only reason I wouldn't put them in is because if you
Yeah.
look back over the whole season, I wouldn't say they've been, the most
Incredible,
consistent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to you, Aditya. Your attackers.
You have 3 left, right?
Yeah, I have my front three left, and from the right, no surprises, it's Cole Palmer. And the reason I have him from the right, it's because where I feel he's most effective is cutting into the middle instead of starting there. And I've mentioned this on a previous episode where we discussed. You asked me this question whether if I prefer him starting in the middle or outright, and I feel like when he starts from wide, he has the freedom to like drift into those spaces and occupy those spaces, and like particularly that right half space. When he starts in the center, it's more easy to pick him up, but when he starts from the right, it's like he's a bit more chaotic. So because then he starts drifting in between like your pivot, your center back, and your left back basically.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole question of who will pick him up. And then if you've got the right back bombing forward, then you've got a real pickle there. And Palmer's like in the middle of a triangle, and he's the most devastating from that position. So I've gone for him on the right. From the left, I've gone like you for Phil Foden.
Okay.
Because, like you said, he's been City's standout player this season, and I think he's filled that hole that De Bruyne left. For the longest time, he was a bit. Everyone knew he was great,
Yeah.
but because, as Pep has said a few times, Haaland and De Bruyne are his luxury players, where they are the ones who come on, they'll change the game. But then they're also like, because De Bruyne is asked to play those risky passes, he also loses the ball a lot. You can't have more than one of that type of
Yes.
player, especially in a Pep system, because he likes control so much. So Foden was more like a system player while De Bruyne was playing. De Bruyne being injured this season has really been a blessing in disguise for Foden, because that's allowed him to take up that role. He's been playing more centrally, and it's really given a boost to his creative output. And again, he's come up with a lot of crucial goals against United. Even the last day of the season, immediately scores
Yes.
and
The
puts all those nerves to bed. So he's been their most crucial attacker. I feel Haaland's not performed as much, and I feel like Palmer and Foden as like those in a double 10 system, playing in between the lines in those half spaces, they would wreak havoc. And at striker, as a Germany fan, there's obviously only one choice. I've gone with Kai Havertz.
What?
No, I have not. I've also gone with Ollie Watkins.
I
Because
really thought that was I was just thinking,
I thought it's
okay,
possible.
what
It is possible.
no,
left field choice, he's not had that bad a season actually.
he's
though,
not
but
had that. But if you talk about
he's had a
team of
good
the
season.
season, I
Yeah,
wouldn't put him in.
overall season, absolutely. I agree.
The second half he's been really good.
Yes.
First half not
Yeah.
so good. But Watkins again, like he's not got any penalties. He's got the second highest goal contributions after Palmer, I think,
Yes.
in the Premier League.
So many assists as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's been a phenomenal striker. He's led the line so well for Aston Villa, and he's also versatile. Like you mentioned about Isaac. Watkins is also able to link up play. He can drop off. He can set up other people, and like that's contributed to his assists. So I know Haaland would have been an obvious choice, but he's not had as good a season.
Yeah.
And he's missed so many big chances.
And Haaland as a player is very limited.
yeah.
Like for me, Haaland is just that finisher. He is
Yeah.
a finisher. So
Yeah.
you practically put everything on the plate and
Yeah.
he'll put it in. And he's
Yeah.
fantastic at doing that.
Yeah.
Like he's the best at doing that. But and that showed in the FA Cup final as well, because as a well-rounded player, when you expect more, like when you want your striker to drop in, like link play or, get something off, like, or, hold the ball up
Yeah.
get other players to come in.
Yeah.
Haaland does not do that, but you can see Watkins do that so much this season. And that has showed in his creative abilities as well. So many assists this season.
Yeah, it has. I think Haaland's not asked to do that because that system is not like for a hold-up striker. You need to be a bit more direct as a
But
style.
I don't feel technically Haaland
No,
has
of course
it.
not. Like
He doesn't have it.
he
have it as
doesn't have it as much technically. Like I wouldn't go as far as agreeing with Roy Keane, but he said as a
no,
striker,
not a League 2
Yeah, exactly.
striker,
As a
but
striker, world class,
he's
as a
just
footballer,
a
League
finisher.
Two.
That's
Yeah.
all. He's a lethal finisher.
Yeah,
but
he's-
technically,
Yeah, but his key thing is his movement in the box.
yes.
Because his ability to find 1 or 2 yards in such a congested penalty area is probably top 3 in the world at this point.
Yes.
Even with this, like, he's missed a lot of chances, but he's been in those areas to get those chances. But as a striker, your bread and butter is, putting it in the net, and he hasn't, like, his conversion rate's not as high.
Yes.
So that's why I'd go with Watkins. So yeah, Palmer, Foden, and Watkins. And Foden, just 1 point on Foden. You mentioned his youth and his talent. Guardiola said he's the best youngster he's ever worked with. Like, obviously, Messi was a bit older than Pep, but
I wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
Because
phenomenal talent.
it's
and-
really scary to see what this guy has in store.
And I'd go one further about your England statement. I think Southgate should build that team around him.
Absolutely. I agree. I think Bellingham and Foden
Yeah.
should be
100%.
the next, and obviously Menu coming in as well. It's
Yeah.
really like England have always had that setup,
Yeah.
but I think now it's high time that these teams are now built around these players.
Yeah.
And a proper. I don't think Southgate should be there. That's a different statement. Hopefully, there's a new manager who's able to build that team properly and use these players as to how they are deadly in the box and
Yeah.
not play a more defensive system.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think these are our teams. Pretty much happy with them. So we'll now quickly get on to our player of the season, and we'll start with you, Raghav. Who's your player of the season and why?
I think even in this, there can be little argument that it's got to be, for me, it's got to be Phil Foden, because amazing. Like, we've made our cases for why he's in in our team of the season, and all three of us have Phil Foden in one way or the other. But amazing. Like, Haaland has been out, De Bruyne has been out, and he stepped up to the plate and he said that I am here. And somehow, me personally, I never took, like, Phil Foden for me was always like, okay, yeah, but with Haaland and De Bruyne in the spotlight, I used to feel that, okay, yeah, he's that impact sub guy. He's that kind of a guy. For me personally, it's a very personal opinion.
Yeah.
That he's
Foden
that
was also he was eased into the setup.
exactly
Because he was
into
young.
the
He was
setup.
not overplayed.
Exactly,
Because young
maybe
players
that's one of the
normally tend
reasons.
to burn out when you
Yeah.
overplay them too
Yeah.
much. So yeah.
So that was my opinion. That has changed like drastically this season. He's been in the spotlight and he's been able to deliver time and again consistently. And yeah, 27 goals and assists combined, like, incredible, and like no doubts for me, Phil Foden.
What about you, Aditya?
Yeah, same. It's got to be Phil Foden. Like, you've got again honorable mentions to Rice, Odegaard, Palmer also in that conversation. But what Palmer's carried a team, but what Foden has done, it's in the title picture, and that's like
Pressure.
That's a different kind of pressure. And yeah, like he said, everything he said I second. He's been the most important attacker for them, and stepped up in the absence of Haaland, De Bruyne, and got contributed in a huge way. And I think one of the reasons you might have had that opinion is because, like, in those big games he used to be on the bench. Like you'd have like last
That's
season.
what, yeah.
Last season you had
Exactly.
Mahrez as well.
Exactly.
Mahrez, Grealish, Bernardo, and
Gundogan.
Gundogan, yeah.
all those players. So even in that Champions League final, he came on for
Yeah.
De Bruyne when he got injured. So
Yeah.
I understand why you had that opinion, but this time this season he's really
He stepped
broken.
into the plate.
Exactly. He's really come out of that shadow and he's taken, like, that attack is his basically.
Mm.
What about you?
My player of the season is not Phil Foden. So three players have stood out for me. Obviously, Phil Foden is one of them. Cole Palmer is definitely one of them because the impact that Palmer has had since coming in from City. I couldn't even imagine if Palmer was in that position in terms of in the place of Doku, what that City team
Oh
would
my
have
God,
done.
yeah.
I just cannot imagine. But good. But yeah, Palmer and Foden are definitely in the top three. But for me, the player of the season is Declan Rice.
Yeah.
For me, I feel it's Declan Rice because we all had that, before the season when Arsenal finished where they finished, just a point behind City. We all had our question marks, especially you, as to Arsenal will drop off.
Yeah.
They don't have that in them
Yeah.
to kind of, go through to the end and, be there till the end. And I think the major aspect of why they've been able to do that was Declan Rice. I think because, like you said earlier, he slotted in perfectly into that team. Because when you saw Declan Rice playing right from the first game of the season, it looked like that he's been there for like 3 or 4 years. He's so easily settled. He's also the way that he progressed during the season, from starting off deeper, coming, then playing that more box-to-box role, contributing in pre-assists, getting some assists as well, taking set pieces as well, and then also towards the end getting goals as well. I think he is the future captain of that team, and it showed that how good he was in terms of getting roaring Arsenal into games when they were facing setbacks as well. And they did not have that last season. And that's where Arsenal fell off. They completely fell off. And we look at Foden's contribution to City, and we should also see that Arsenal was just 1 point behind City. This time the difference was not that big. and Arsenal also have been really, really good. They've just lacked that one game. I think one game they faltered, and
Yeah.
I think for me they were a more deserving team this season. I know City in the end won it, but that one game was so unfair. Actually, those two as well, even West Ham.
and Villa. Yeah.
They should have easily won those games for me, and then the history could have been different. We could have seen Arsenal winning, but the impact that Rice has had on this team, and I think he's going to keep getting better as well. Him being able to play as an 8, and if you add another defensive midfielder to that fold, I think there are a little bit more gears for Declan Rice to activate as well. And I think Arsenal, for me, fighting with City right till the end, massive kudos and massive props has to go for Declan Rice to come into this team. And we all were like 110 million, and now we're just saying that it's such a good investment for a player like him. So he is my player of the season. I've gone a little bit left field.
Yeah,
fair,
it's
not
not
left
exactly.
field.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's also fitting that all of our players of the season are in all teams,
Yes.
like Foden and
Exactly.
Rice. And yeah, that's again an indication that is not exactly left field, because I think it's super close.
Because what I also feel is you remove Foden from City, like City would have still been there somehow. Like they have enough of players to like kind of do something, right? But if you remove Declan Rice from that team, right? So say in an instance in a given season, at one moment you remove Foden from that team and you remove Declan Rice from that team. I think City as a unit would have still been able to function better considering Arsenal. So if you remove Declan Rice from this Arsenal team, I think they're still the Arsenal of the old a little bit, right? I could see them slipping in the last few games, but the importance that he's brought to this team, like the way he's propelled them, I feel that change has been instrumental for Arsenal, and I can see them getting better next season. So that's why he's my player of the season. But quickly before we end, quickly manager of the season, Raghav.
Yeah, so my manager of the season has to be Unai Emery, because like what he's done with that Villa side since he's come in has been phenomenal. He has propelled them to a Champions League spot, let alone a Conference League or a Europa League spot. He's directly taken them to the Premier European football competition. From they were like battling relegation last season, and they've come in, and he's done a phenomenal job with that team and molded it into its own in a very quick time. I think like they're for me it's Unai Emery.
What about you, Aditya?
It was between Emery and Arteta for me, and I've just gone with Arteta because he's given what he had last season, and like they've run City so close last season, and it would have been very easy for them to just drop off. But he's kept that group together, and he's kept the motivation there, that hunger there, and he's also smart signings. Edu and Arteta have done really well in that department. He's got the best out of Havertz in the second half of the season. Rice has been phenomenal. So all those things and pushing City so close, I think, is a really good achievement. And I'm hoping they can do that and more, give City a challenge before Pep leaves. So yeah, for me, Arteta just about shades it over Emery, who was undoubtedly phenomenal himself.
For me, it was also a very, very difficult choice. I have two obvious ones. You cannot discount what Pep has done this season.
Of course not,
because 4 consecutive titles is not forget whatever's looming around that club, but to be there and to consistently get what you have to get from this team, you have to factor that in. But he wouldn't be my manager of the season, but I'm putting him up there. But I'll agree with you. I think it has to be Arteta as well, because considering how last season ended in such a sour note, and to go there and again push one of the best City teams to the last day, just says it all. And for me, they should have won the title, but it came so close, and because it just hinged on the fact that City have been there, they've done it time and time again, and that's where Arsenal missed out. But I think they're going to be a better side next season, and he's been very underrated as a coach, and he's proved as to why Arsenal have kept patience in him.
Yeah.
So for me, Arsenal, Arteta has been the manager of the season. Special shout out to also Iraola, who's come in
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Bournemouth. I think they finished in the top 10. I think Bournemouth finished 10th, right? Can you check that out? They are close around there, but I think him coming in,
Palace finished 10th.
Palace finished 10th. Where is
Bournemouth
Bournemouth?
12th.
12th, yeah. But Iraola coming in he's also had injuries
By
where
just a
he's
point, for the record.
by just a point, exactly. So
Yeah.
that pushed them down. At one point they were doing so well in the
Yeah.
season. So tactically also he's changed them.
Yeah.
They've been really, really good. Very, very, very good team to watch. So special shout out to Iraola. Glasner coming in towards the end of the season, also very, very good output. But yeah, with that we've come to the end of the show. We've all put out our teams. So let us know in the comments below whose team is the best. Do you agree with Raghav's, picks of Van der Ven and Poro and Eze?
I'm pretty sure my team is better than Gogo's World 11. It's so.
Let's
go.
Let's not go there.
That y'all
That's a
do a
depressing
special
topic.
episode for that,
Yeah.
and y'all debate which team
Yeah.
is best. But yeah, do the usual drill, like, share, and subscribe to our videos. And yeah, we'll now be shifting our focus to the international stage. We have the Euros coming up, so we'll have a lot of videos coming up on the group stages analysis and which teams are the favorites to win the Euros. So stick with us for that, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.